Nowadays, the Parliament of Kenya has turned to be a war ground where both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza legislators go to show how tough they are. Out of arrogance or ignorant to standing orders and laws of the House, they use unparliamentary language to the extent of even fighting on the floor of the House. Recently, Honorable Sabina Chege was injured when other women leaders attacked her on the floor of the House. Yesterday, there was almost a physical attack as Senators Sifuna and Boni exchanged harsh words. To an extent, Senator Khalwale asked for permission from the Speaker to fight Senator Sifuna. These are some of the side issues being witnessed daily, diverting all the attention from important bills and debate. This is said to be derailing many debates because they waste a lot of time. Listen on this.
Mr. Speaker, understanding order number 122, and Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to read, that speaks to disorderly conduct. Number 1B, a senator who declines to retract the use of unparliamentary language or declines to offer apologies despite having been ordered to do so by the Speaker is engaged in disorderly conduct. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be voted for by 300,000 people in Kakamega, and Mr. Speaker, I come here and be made a figure of the kind of picture that the Honorable Senator from Nairobi is painting. We need to call him on order unless, Mr. Speaker, you want to allow this House to degenerate into a fist fight. If you allow me as a bullfighter, I'll fix him here and now and it will be sorted out. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni. Senator Boni, that Senator Mogeni, have your seat. Senator Sifuna, have your seat. Sit down, Senator Sifuna. Senator Boni, that is unparliamentary. You have to withdraw it. Senator Sifuna, when I brought up the issue of how to address his colleagues, he proceeded to withdraw that. He did withdraw, unless you're not killed. Senator Boni, you were doing very well until you brought out your character of bullfighting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Senator Boni, you cannot threaten to fix honorable senators on the floor of this House. Kindly proceed to withdraw that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to confirm, as I withdraw and apologize to the House, that this is not the place to fix him, and I would never fix him in this House. But if he gives me an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, outside this House,
there, Senator
we cannot allow.
Just leave it there.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow small voice.
Senator Boni, have your seat. Now, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. We have such an important order to prosecute before us. We have such an important matter to prosecute before us. We are wasting a lot of time on what I will tell Senator Mogeni, you shut up, the chair is speaking. I have not given you the opportunity to speak. Senator Mogeni, you're out of order and I'm calling you to order. Then wait for the chair to give you that opportunity. You persist, you know exactly what will befall you. Now, honorable senators, we have such an important matter before us. We are taking a lot of time, seriously on frivolous, if I would say, points of order. Senator Sifuna, the way you're making your comments, you're inviting unnecessary points of order. You're making good points, but there's a way you can put them across without necessarily having to attract the kind of points of order. Stop throwing jabs. Go straight to your comments, make your comments, let's conclude this business. What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
Mr. Speaker, According to the Constitution of Kenya, the DORA bill cannot be signed into law without the concurrence of the two houses. Mr. Speaker, is the Senator for Nairobi in order to mislead the country that by us agreeing with the National Assembly, we were failing in our responsibility, and yet we were meeting the constitutional threshold that expects that for DORA to become law, it should need the concurrence of the two houses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion on this point of order, I'm tired and sick of new senators in this House giving the impression that we don't know what we are doing, we are not up to the task. We have worked, Mr. Speaker, and we want our constituents to appreciate us much. I don't earn a free salary.
Senator Boni. If I had Senator Sifuna, this is what he said. That the Senate adopted the figure as passed by the National Assembly. So there was concurrence of the figure between the two houses, which is factual. So I don't see why then there is a big problem there, Senator Boni. The two houses concurred that the figure to increase by the 15 billion from last year's allocation. Where is the problem? Senator Sifuna, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want the conscience of all of us to eat us in our sleep and in our waking for the decisions that we take on this floor, Mr. Speaker. And I am happy and I will not tire to remind that in fact, Mr. Speaker, there is a second limb to the facts that we have alluded to here. That our own committee on finance and budget, on the advice of the Commission of Revenue Allocation, did propose to this House that instead of the 385 given by the National Assembly, we as a Senate should go with the figure of 407. That is also a fact. That question of 407 or 385 was put to us as a Senate, as a House, as individual senators elected to get every single coin we can for our counties. 22 of my colleagues, whose conscience you can see is knowing at them, voted against 407 billion shillings. Let their conscience eat them until the day that I die. But you will not run away from a vote that you took. Nobody forced you to vote in that particular
What
manner.
is the point of order, Senator Chirange? And as you raise your point of order, please.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order? I'm raising
Senator
under...
Chirange, I'm speaking.
Okay.
As you stand to raise the point of order, please use parliamentary language. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order? And I raise under Standing Order 105 and under Article 93 of the Constitution of Kenya, where it defines Parliament as National Assembly and Senate. Is it in order for Senator Sifuna to continue misleading Kenyans by now shifting goalposts between 407 and 370 billion, Mr. Speaker? Yet for us, who have been in this House long enough, note that it was an increment of 15.3 billion from 370 to 385.3 billion, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order, can Senator Sifuna confirm to the country that there was an increment to allocation to the counties through DORA bill, Mr. Speaker?
Go, senators, let us stop this head-pecking exercise. The position is, as Parliament, Senator Eddie, this is the position. The bill that went to the President for assent is a bill of Parliament because it was processed in both houses. And upon being assented to, it became an act of Parliament. Meaning, whatever increment of the monies as compared to last year is an effort was a collective decision of both houses. That's why it's an act of parliament. I don't know why we are still arguing on these very basic facts. Can you allow Senator Sifuna to conclude his comments in silence, please? And Senator Sifuna, be guided by the chair's observation on that particular matter.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I know is that I am required to comply with the standing orders in my debate. I have stated matters of fact. If those facts are things you are uncomfortable with, that is your own funeral. But I must state the facts as I know them. Mr. Speaker, let me proceed by saying...
Senator Sifuna, are you saying if the chair is uncomfortable with those facts, then the chair should...
No, I'm addressing you because I don't want to address the people who are in discomfort.
Just take your comments.
Mr. Speaker...
Senator Cherangay and Senator Boni, allow the senator to conclude his comments.
Mr. Speaker, if there is unparliamentary language that I have used, you need to point it out. I am just saying.
Senator Sifuna. Senator Sifuna. Indeed, you've used unparliamentary language to the extent.
Which one?
To the extent that you say for those who voted against, lay their conscience in. I think the Hansard will.
Mr. Speaker, that is not unparliamentary. That is linguistic gymnastics which I'm allowed to perform on this particular.
I know exactly what you're saying. So going forward, Senator Sifuna, refrain from using unparliamentary.
Mr. Speaker, I am going to find the most flowery language to describe what happened on this house. When the vote for division of revenue was
be heard in silence? Senator Cherangay, proceed.
When the vote was put here, you had an option to vote yes, to agree with the committee, just like we have been asked. Under this particular... Mr. Speaker, can I please be heard in silence? Please.
You've raised your concern. Senator Sifuna, our standing orders provide very clearly on how you should refer to your colleagues. You refer them as honorable senators. There are no people here, there are no guys here. We have honorable senators.
I apologize for that, Mr. Speaker. I am going to look for the most flowery language to remind the distinguished senators on the majority side that your conscience will follow you and the decisions that you take on this floor are public. Mr. Speaker, we have another opportunity. There is another report of the Finance Committee here. I would actually not be surprised if people, again, take the decision that they took during the debate on the Division of Revenue Act. Mr. Speaker,
I have
please.
just told you, Senator Sifuna, do not use the word people, but refer them to honorable senator. That is the requirement of the standing.
Mr. Speaker,
How would you feel if your colleague refer you as?
But I am people. I am people. Mr. Speaker, it is not offensive language. It is not offensive language to call people.
Senator, order, Senator. Senator Sifuna, take your seat. Senator Sifuna, kindly take your seat. Senator Sifuna, you're not going to start a debate with the chair. You know exactly what amounts? It amounts to a disorderly conduct. And the consequences are very clear. You're a person, you're a people. But that is the language that is allowable outside the doors of this chamber. As long as you're in this chamber, you shall refer to your colleagues as honorable senators. Kindly proceed. What is your point of order, Senator Boni?
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order number 122, and Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to read, that speaks to disorderly conduct. Number 1B, a senator who declines to retract the use of unparliamentary language or declines to offer apologies despite having been ordered to do so by the Speaker is engaged in disorderly conduct. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be voted for by 300,000 people in Kakamega, and Mr. Speaker, I come here and be made a figure of the kind of picture that the Honorable Senator for Nairobi is painting. We need to call him on order unless, Mr. Speaker, you want to allow this House to degenerate into a fist fight. If you allow me as a bullfighter, I'll fix him here and now, and it will be sorted out. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni, that Senator Mogeni, have your seat. Senator Sifuna, have your seat. Sit down, Senator Sifuna. Senator Boni, that is unparliamentary. You have to withdraw it. Senator Sifuna, when I brought up the issue of how to address his colleagues, he proceeded to withdraw that. He did withdraw, unless you're not keen. Senator Boni, you were doing very well until you brought out your character of bullfighting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Senator
sir.
Boni, you cannot threaten to fix honorable senators on the floor of this House. Kindly proceed to withdraw that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to confirm, as I withdraw and apologize to the House, that this is not the place to fix him, and I would never fix him in this House. But if he gives me an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, outside this House,
there, Senator
we cannot
Boni.
allow.
Just leave it there.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow
Senator
small
Boni.
voice.
Senator Boni, have your seat. Now, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. We have such an important order to prosecute before us. We have such an important matter to prosecute before us. We are wasting a lot of time on what I will term, Senator Mogeni, you shut up, the chair is speaking. I have not given you the opportunity to speak. Senator Mogeni, you're out of order and I'm calling you to order. Then wait for the chair to give you that opportunity. You persist, you know exactly what will befall you. Now, honorable senators, we have such an important matter before us. We are taking a lot of time, seriously on frivolous, if I would say, points of order. Senator Sifuna, the way you're making your comments, you're inviting unnecessary points of order. You're making good points, but there's a way you can put them across without necessarily having to attract the kind of points of order. Stop throwing jabs. Go straight to your comments, make your comments, let's conclude this business. Proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the avoidance of doubt, it gives me great pleasure to again withdraw my comments by referring to honorable senators as people. I withdraw and apologize. Mr. Speaker, what I want to make clear is that there is no point in us having a conversation in this particular House or debate in this House if we offend people's sensibilities, even when we are within the rules. Then we cannot have a debate because some people are uncomfortable when history is revisited. But let history judge all of us. I have no problem with that. The point that I was making, Mr. Speaker, is that all these lamentations lack of drugs or services in your county, when you had an opportunity to better the lot of your county, but you chose other things. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat here that you should not expect plaudits. You should not be expecting that people will praise you or say you are a good man because you've done something that you are required to do anyway, something that you are paid to do anyway. It's like us or myself here expecting that the people of Nairobi will clap for me because I came to the chamber this afternoon. That is exactly what I was elected to do. We were elected here to fight for all the resources that we can get to come to our counties. And when we do the opposite, we should learn to live with the decisions that we take. Let's not run away from the decisions that we've taken, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, here in Nairobi, we have issues that need to be addressed. And I just want to touch on some of them. Just this financial year, last financial year, Nairobi County was opening its first ICU. The entire Nairobi County did not have ICU beds, Mr. Speaker. We need resources for us to expand the facilities at Mama Lucy. And I have spoken to the question of timely disbursement of resources. The schedule here has two components. It has an amount and it also has a date. It is our expectation going forward, because this is a concern that has been expressed even by the committee itself. If you look at page 6 of the report, that the delays in disbursement to counties negatively impact the operations and service delivery as well as priority funding. Our governor here has set upon an ambitious plan of feeding kids in school, and it is costing us as a county about 800 million shillings per year. And Mr. Speaker, that is just for a fraction of the school-going children, because this amount that he is using for this particular program is only for the kids in public schools. A large majority, a large proportion of the students in Nairobi are not in public schools. They are in what we call semi-formal schools. And we would want an opportunity that this program expands. In fact, there's people who've gone to court to say it is discriminatory for you to have such a program to benefit only people in public schools, yet a vast majority of the students are not in those particular schools. They are in non-formal schools. Mr. Speaker, we have county playgrounds here in Nairobi. We have a lot of talent. Just like I was saying earlier to you, I was at Moi Forces Academy this afternoon for the Kenya Primary Sports Association Games to determine the team that will represent Nairobi in the national games in Kisumu. There's a lot of talent in Nairobi, but we don't even have proper playing grounds. If you go to Camp Toyoyo, a pitch that was built a few years ago, it used to host all the games that were being played pale mtaani. But Mr. Speaker, if you look at the playing surface right now, it is in such bad shape that we need all the resources we can get for us to be able to provide proper facilities. The governor, out of the money that the county is receiving this particular year, has set aside about 500 million shillings for the refurbishment of City Stadium. And the shame of this country, I have seen people going around saying we're going to bid to host African Cup of Nations. I don't know which year it is. You know for a fact you are lying to Kenyans. You don't have the facilities to do these things. If Kenyans elected truthful leaders who kept their word, we would be enjoying the sixth stadium that we were promised in 2013. But right now, we are just wallowing in this miasma, people lying to us that we're going to host continental games when every Kenyan knows it is not going to happen. Mr. Speaker, out of my experience in the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
Would you wish to be informed?
Absolutely never. Absolutely never. Mr. Speaker, one of the things we experienced in the Parliamentary Accounts Committee when we had a conversation.
What is the point of order, Senator
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I'm rising under Standing Order 101 and 105 because the senator, is it in order for Senator Sifuna to indicate that this country has never hosted a continental sports event? Yet Kipchoge Keino Classic was done in Eldoret, and also severally it was done, all African Games was done here, the athletics was done here in Kasarani. Is it in order for him to mislead the great people of Nairobi and Kenyans by alleging that this country has never hosted or held, Mr. Speaker, the events? Is it in order?
Order. Senator.
And World Rally Championship, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chirangei, when your colleagues are speaking, it's good to pay attention. So that when you raise an point of order, you raise an point of order on the speech that they've made. I do not see how your point of order is warranted as far as the speech that Senator Sifuna is saying. I did not, unless the Hansard bears as witness, I did not hear him say that as a country we have not hosted continental events. He alluded to just one event that as a country would wish to host. That is the AFCON. And he said, with the state of infrastructure we have, we may not be able to do that, but we could have been able to do that had we started this journey in 2013. That's what I got to understand from the Honorable Senator. Senator Sifuna, what is the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Cherage is one of my closest friends in this house. And he's a
Senator Mogeni,
he's a colleague.
whom are you trying to call to order?
He's a colleague whom I respect.
Senator Mogeni,
Yes.
when you stand on a point of
I'm
order,
rising under.
whom are you trying to call to order? Because the senator on the floor is Senator Sifuna.
Yes. I'm rising under standing order.
Is that the senator you are calling to order?
Yes.
Senator Sifuna, he's out of
Senator,
order. according to you.
No. I was rising on a point of order. When Senator Cherage was on
He
the
was
floor.
on a point of order. You cannot do that. So, Senator Mogeni, kindly take your seat. Kindly. Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, with the great respect, I think I'm going to break the record as the senator who is interrupted the most on this particular floor. And I understand the fear and trepidation that I strike in the
Senator
hearts of some of
Sifuna,
these
just
people.
proceed to make a
But,
point.
Mr. Speaker, please, I need the protection of the chair.
I have protected you enough.
Mr. Speaker, I don't
So,
even know.
if you engage the chair directly, I have called you to conclude your comments. What more protection do you need?
The direction I wanted is how much time I have left, Mr. Speaker, given all sorts of interruptions that I've done since
Just proceed. The chair will protect you. Proceed.
I need guidance so that I can be able to see.
How many minutes? 5 minutes, Senator.
Yes, I think that is enough to impart wisdom and knowledge, Mr. Speaker. I want to make two final points, Mr. Speaker. And this is drawn from the experience that I had at the County Public Accounts Committee when we had an engagement with the Treasury and the KRA. Mr. Speaker, it was clear that the National Treasury has taken the word national in its name to imply or to mean that they serve the interests of the national government first. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is there that just 2 months to the close of the financial year 2022-2023, 20% or 90 billion that was due and had been allocated to the county governments had not been dispersed just 2 months to the close of the financial year. And compare that to the only 10% of the almost 2 trillion shillings that was due to the county, to the national government that had not been disbursed. One of the things that we want to see is that the National Treasury should be encouraged in the disbursement of resources to respect the two levels of government so that there is no favoritism, as can be demonstrated from the amount of money that was spending during this financial year, just those few months to the close of the year. Mr. Speaker, as I have said, we in Nairobi have a lot of issues. We would like for devolution to work. We would like for all the resources we can get to go to the people of Nairobi so that they can be able to do the things that is expected of us as a county government. Mr. Speaker, what I want to finalize by saying is that I have a lot of respect for all of our colleagues here. But Mr. Speaker, it is becoming increasingly evident to me that I might be a marked man in this house. But Mr. Speaker, every time that I stand up here, I have even had somebody who I know for a fact cannot beat me in a fair fight, challenging me to a fight. Mr. Speaker,
Sifuna.
it is very unfair.
Senator
Yes.
Sifuna.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Senator Sifuna, you know the responsibility of protecting a senator lies in the hands of the chair. If you feel you've been marked, you can only address your concerns to the chair. Throwing similar jabs on the other side, because you've been, and I ruled that particular statement unparliamentary, but still you're clinging on it.
But Mr. Speaker, because a threat has been made.
It has been withdrawn. So conclude your remarks and sit.
Mr. Speaker,
It's no longer subject of discussion. It has been withdrawn.
Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, because I have asked you to protect me on many occasions, I want to ask that on this one, please don't protect me. I would want to welcome that challenge that has been put by the Senator.
Have your seat,
Kakamega.
Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator Sifuna, you know, you've alluded to the fact that you're the senator who attracts the most points of order. And you remember when you're contributing, I cautioned you, asked you the way you're contributing may either open yourself to these points of order or it may insulate you from these points of order. Your parting shot clearly is unparliamentary and uncalled for because you're responding to a statement that is no longer part of the record of the Senate. It has been withdrawn. Why then proceed to respond to it? So the way we debate will either allow your colleagues to give you silence as you prosecute your comments, or it will open a lot of points of order, just the way you contribute. So look into your eyes before you look into the eyes of your colleagues. But otherwise, the chair will be here to give you what it gives to all other senators, protection. Senator